Well, hello, my friends. I am so excited to be here with a good friend of mine that I've known for years, maybe over a decade or longer.
I think
Nick Huff.
so.
I know Nick Huff. He is the owner of Made in Omaha, also Hutch, and then Hutch Fest. Is the name that for the over the in the summer that you guys put on this great festival. So anyway, Nick, thank you for joining me today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So I just, for people that may not know you, and I can't imagine who doesn't know you, but, and everything that you do, but give us a little history about yeah, what you do
Yeah.
and what has, what you have created in the Omaha community.
Yeah. What a fun question. Okay. So it started about 8 years ago. Brandon Bede and I started Hutch. We started that in the basement of a place downtown below McLovin. It was a men's clothing store.
Yeah.
We were in the basement slinging vintage furniture that we found. It was like mid-century finds. We did that for a couple months and opened up a store in Midtown Crossing to do vintage for furniture, and then snowballed into selling residential furniture. And now, as of like 3 years ago, we actually mainly do commercial furniture now. So we furnish, whether it be hotels, country clubs, luxury multifamily. That's what we do now on the Hutch side, which is really fun.
Have you
And we
like,
actually have,
I'm gonna interrupt real quick. Have you always had a passion for furniture or vintage furniture? Or, I
I
mean,
don't
how did
know.
that come to be?
I think like post college, getting my first place and just wanting to fill it with items that were mine now. They weren't hand me downs or they weren't, you know, I mean, I did still find a lot of things on
Yeah,
Craigslist, but I just tried to find cooler things instead of what I did in
yeah,
college. So I think, yeah, just my style just started to shift a little bit post college,
yeah.
and yeah, so started to
Okay.
buy the mid-century items and whatnot. So I think I've always like had a knack for design or fashion in general my whole life, but it wasn't until I had the time as an adult to
Yeah,
really kind of explore that.
yeah. All right. So you had Hutch, or
Yep.
you have Hutch, and okay. So I'll let you continue.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, Hutch, and we opened up our new showroom in Millwork Commons for Hutch in January 2022. So that'll be really fun. And then I think 5 years ago we started Hutch Fest, and that is a fall makers festival that we have anywhere from 200 to 300 um, makers from across the region and across the nation. We
Yeah,
have Terry Healy runs that event basically, and me and Brandon support her. She does all the maker interactions and picks out all the makers, and Brandon does all the environment stuff, and I just kind of help make it happen. So that is, yeah, about 10,000 people come to that, and that's
yeah,
in North Downtown. Just a one-day festival. It's a lot of work for 6 hours, but the makers love it, the attendees love it, and we love it because we get to support
yeah.
the local economy. I think there's like $1 million in economic activity that go on during those 6 hours of Hutch Fest, which is really fun.
Yeah, and I mean,
And then,
I've been to it many times, and I think that's one of the things too that I just love, Nick, about you and Brandon and your team. I mean, it's really supporting the local people and their craftsmanship, whether they're making candles or whether they're making T-shirts or this and that. And maybe that's how Made in Omaha kind of came to be as well.
exactly. Exactly. So in Hutch, we started carrying some local makers because we wanted to support the local economy. And then we felt we were limited by our four walls of the store. So then we created Hutch Fest to support more. And then after Hutch Fest, we're like, wow, we really do have this great community of local makers. We should make a store for these local makers. So Made in Omaha was birthed 3.5 years ago, I believe. And our first store is in Countryside Village. It's still there. We have about 80 makers in there, and opened up our second location in the old market, and then third location this last year at Shops of Legacy. So we have three locations now, and It's been really fun. Yeah, Terry Healy basically runs that operation. She's amazing. And yeah, we have about 80 makers in the store. During the holidays, it's really fun because we do like these custom local gift boxes that you can either order online or corporate orders. You know, companies can order for their entire teams or thank yous to their clients. So that's been a lot of fun too.
Yeah. And one of the things, I mean, okay, so you guys were on the cover of Midland's Business Journal for our November 26th issue. And one of the things I asked you was to do a top 10 list because I mean, you are such a advocate for shop local and buying local. And there's so many amazing people in our Omaha metro community that are creating stuff, you know, again, like I said, candles or t-shirts or postcards, or there's all kinds of different things. Because if you go to madeinomaha.com, you can find out all kinds of things, and including the gift boxes that we talked about. But let's just we don't have to go through all the top 10 list of why buying local is important, but can you just give us a few that, I mean, it is important.
Absolutely. So I'll start off with Made in Omaha. So at Made in Omaha, we did a study last year, and it was 91 cents per dollar gets siphoned back through the Omaha community, which is a lot. As if you compare that to like a national box store like Target, theirs is about 31 cents to the dollar that goes back to Omaha, and then Amazon about 1%. So if you shop local at all, it means, you know, you're really spending with your dollar, and you're really ensuring that that money gets siphoned back through the local economy, whether it's at Made in Omaha or any other local shop. So spending with your dollar is really, really important if you want to help continue to see Omaha grow creatively, whether that be in the retail aspect, whether that be in food and drink, whether you want to be in the art scene. It's really important to spend your money locally so that you can help these creative communities and makers survive to live here. It really helps people not want to move away. It helps people have pride in their own city.
Absolutely.
And yeah. So I think that's really important.
And I think too, because I'm actually again on your website for Made in Omaha, which is, you know, again, you are people that are local artists, local owners, local. I mean, you're showing their products, and you have so much stuff in there. And again, like you said, I want to encourage everybody to visit your store. You have so many things in there, but again, you're being an advocate, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's buying local. I mean, it is important. So do you have a couple other reasons for why shopping local is important to the community?
Yeah, absolutely. So your shopping experience overall too. So if you walk into a local shop, you're going to see things that are more unique than a big box store. You know, these are things made locally, designed locally, and they're original. So you're having an elevated shopping experience, whether, you know, it be a chef that's creating food locally. You know, it's not a chain store. It's like the chef came up with that menu and all that stuff. So yeah, walking into a retail store, it's going to make your shopping experience more unique. And then also typically the customer service is better as well, because a lot of people who work for local companies understand the grind, you know, they want to support local, and they really are passionate about their work and kind of like spreading that. So that, yeah, your experience there and the products are going to be more unique, and the service is typically better and more tailored.
I'm going to ask you a question that's a little bit that is not on our sheet or our questions. You know what, with the pandemic, we are now getting into almost close to 2 years as we get into 2022. How have you seen that with what you do? I mean, in your place, because I almost think that buying local is even more important and you had to like pivot. You had to, I mean, you had to look at things a little bit differently or broaden your scope about how do you
Yeah,
present yourself.
absolutely. We had to do a few different things for all of our entities. Hutch Fest, unfortunately, we had to skip out on the first
Yep.
year. It just
Yeah.
wasn't smart to
Yeah.
do it all. We're lucky that the event's outside and we have more scientific data behind things there. So for Hutch, it's been interesting. So sourcing any sort of material, whether it be steel, lumber, foam that goes into a sofa or chair, we're seeing like very extended long lead times. So it's important, like, so if you order local, whether residential or commercial projects, you get a level of service that we understand our vendors and what they are capable of right now and what's realistic. So we get to talk through the buyer through those things and give them a realistic timeline of when things are going to get done, or give them options of things that are in stock right now. So you don't really get that level of service online, because I'm sure everyone has watching this has bought something online, furniture, and it gets delayed, and you really just, there's nothing you can do. It's like, oh, they said 2 weeks, now it's,
2
6.
months or 6
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're shopping local for Hutch, means we get to add a level of service in there and a level of expectation that you may not get if you order online. And then for Made in Omaha, the makers have been incredible. So we had last year and the year before, or actually the first year of the pandemic, I think we were closed almost 8 months. Our retail locations, our brick and mortars were closed.
Yeah.
And we just did online. And that was a really great time. I mean, we already had an online shop, but we really had to like turn the gears up on that and really start pushing our online. And it went great. Our makers were, for the most part at home and still able to produce what they're doing, because a lot of these makers either they do it on the side, or they have gotten enough business now where they can do it as a full-time job. So we were able to keep a lot of our inventory in for Made in Omaha, and it really is kind of like an immediate gratification, because everything we sell, we keep really good inventory of all of our product. If you buy it, it's either going to ship right away to you, and obviously if you're coming into our stores now, you get that instant gratification. So for Made in Omaha, we switched online, and that we were lucky enough for that to go well for us. And now we have our stores back open and for the holidays, and it's going great.
Yeah. So you have 3 stores, one in Shops of Legacy, Countryside Village, which was your first original store. And then I think your largest store is in the Old Market, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And again, you're not just, I mean, you're a business, you're an entrepreneur, and you're also being this funnel for people to be able to sell their services locally. So I encourage people, again, I've been looking at your website and looking at all the different, I mean, you guys, there's so many different amazing local artists, makers that are, have producing product that I think your website, 504 products that are made here locally, Omaha metro area. So encouraging people to go and buy local. We're all in this together, and it's just kind of fun to, first of all, be able to support local artists, local makers, but also when I'm shipping things to other people in other states, I am having fun seeing hey, I'm sending them something from Omaha, Nebraska. And it's just a great gift.
It is, yeah. And to give people an idea, if they haven't visited the website or store, we have a wide array of products. So we have like a food and pantry section that has like, chocolates and hot sauces and honey and beer and liquor and toffee and all that kind of stuff. And then we have a very large apparel section too.
Yes.
So t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, socks. And then we do have paper goods, from posters to cards and candles and ceramics and bags. And so we have a really little bit of everything that you can expect a local maker to make.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you. And I just want to thank you because, you created something that truly is, I think, a necessity and also just helps people locally that have these products. So Nick, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
And do we have a date for Hutch Fest next year? Or
yes, I believe it's September 5th.
Okay.
It's always the Sunday before Labor Day.
Okay. All right.
So it'll be that day. I think it's the 5th.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely check back in with you before that because again, that's just a great event and I've been to it many times and it's so much fun. But Nick, thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Of course. Thank you. I appreciate it.